This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the UK's #1 coral selling website, prestigereef.co.uk and reefdork.etsy.com for all your 3D printed aquarium accessory needs. What is up, YouTube? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Prestige Reef Dork Show. We are talking about the top 10 fastest growing corals. I had to look at the title at the top of my screen. Top 10 fastest growing corals today.
Have we got 10?
What do you mean if we got 10? It was your job.
No, you told me to do 5.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a load anyway as well, bonuses. But anyway, we're going to do the usual format. So if you just tuned in to see which corals go fast, I'll put a timestamp in a pinned comment. So just go into the comments, click on the timestamp, and you can skip straight to it. And as a thank you for me doing that timestamp, you can like the video whilst you're here as well. Thanks. So with all that being said, I've just been brought a glass for my water. What's going on, Ryan?
Where's the beer today?
The beer has been.
Are you in the doghouse? Oh, okay.
No. I brought up a bottle of water and a bottle of beer 45 minutes ago, and I should have drunk the water first and the beer second, but I got carried away.
Wise.
So got too excited. So, oh, interesting. Philip Harrison can't get the talent cell battery backup anywhere. So that is my lithium ion.
Can you define the word interesting for me? And then when you use that as the bit that comes afterwards.
Yeah, it's not that interesting, is it really? But they went out of stock a while ago. Someone else said that it was out of stock on Amazon. Currently unavailable. Well, bad news.
Not good.
Never mind. Anyway, what have you been up to?
Okay, first thing I would say is actually website related. Just before the live stream, I said to Alex, should I put out a 20% discount code tonight? And Alex went, yeah, put out a 20% discount code tonight. So there's going to be a, you can thank Alex for this. There's live on the website at the moment. There is a 20% discount code, which is discount 20 in capitals. And Alex just put up on the screen. And that's because we're talking about corals tonight. So I thought we're going to be looking at my website, I assume. So that's, I thought now will be a good time to do it.
Happy days. And this is, and in terms of there's no such thing as a factual list of the 10 fastest growing. It's impossible to actually to say what they are. So these are probably the fastest growing corals either in your experience or that you currently have or that sort of stuff.
Yes, because obviously different people have different experiences with corals, and some of the corals that people would expect to be on my list, for example, Xenia, is not on the list because in reality, Xenia doesn't grow anywhere near as fast as some of the other corals I have in the farm. But we will we'll get to that obviously later.
And I half drew up a list of I literally it's not 10. I wrote down a few. I was like, yeah, these are the fastest ones for me.
Okay. With regards to my week in reefing, it's very busy at the farm at the moment. Sam wasn't here this week, which means I had to do the work myself, which that it hurts me tremendously.
Yeah.
But interestingly, I've not had a client like this for a long time. I had a new client who only wants large colonies. So he only wants really, really massive pieces. So we together have cleared out a huge pot. Like, the SPS tray is normally full at the top, isn't it? Full of big colonies. It's now like 75% empty. It was like that much.
Really? So he took a load.
Big colonies have all gone. It's because he had a 12-foot tank. He said he had. Right. So he took a lot of the big colonies, which is good because that means it gives me room to get some new pieces in. So that's what I'll be doing soon. The other news, which is not particularly exciting news, I won't go into that. That's more of a personal thing. So it's not that. It was about the tank that I set up for someone. So and then obviously I broke it down. I got a tank breakdown back. But it's a longer story than that. But with regards to the most exciting news, let's go on to the most exciting news. Last week we spoke about me setting up a fish system, didn't we?
We did indeed.
And on so obviously at the time, I don't even think it had water in it, had it?
Don't remember. Don't think so.
Yeah, because it was leaking at the time. So anyway, on Monday, I completely took the tank apart again, cleaned off all the seals, realized that a lot of the places that were leaking didn't have seals on them, which is not, basically, I'm not particularly skilled when it comes to putting things together. So what I did is I just pulled the plumbing back in, I screwed the tops on them and went, yeah, that will do. Not realizing that I hadn't checked the seal, I hadn't cleaned any of them or anything like that. And this is obviously an old fish system. So I spent probably about 2 hours taking it apart, cleaning everything, resealing everything, making sure it was absolutely perfect, and then set it back up again. And luckily, all tanks except one leaked, and then I drained that down and then redid it, and then that one was fine. So there were a few bits missing, so I had to order those. But the reason that I've been doing this is because I've got some new fish, and I wanted a way to quarantine a large amount of fish all in one go, rather than doing them. It's taking too long to do them weeks at a time. I'm sure you imagine if you want to get a new fish now, you can't get a new fish, can you? Unless you have a mate, with a quarantine system.
This is true.
You can't get a new fish. But that's the problem I've been having with the water box. Everything's too slow for me. I like instant. So the quarantine on the fish that are in quarantine at the moment, the original fish, are the powder blue and flame angel and things like that. They end quarantine on Friday next week. So it feels like it takes so long, doesn't it? So
it does, yeah. Sorry.
Well, you're doing it as well at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah. It's I think I've been going 6 weeks now, and and it's just like, for the first month I was fine. I was like, okay, it's got to go through this, and now I'm like, oh please, can I just put fish back in the tank? It's just not the same.
Because your fish is still in copper, aren't they?
No, I've taken.
So you've taken the copper
almost
out.
As far as almost all of the copper out. I tested it the other day. It was at 0.46, I think. And I did a small water change. I actually used, for the first time, so polyfilter, that like the white.
Yes, yeah.
That removes metals. I've used that before when I've had an ICP test that says I've got metals in my water, like what's it called, tin, zinc, and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And it says that it will change to a certain color if it's removed that metal.
Yeah.
And whenever I've used polyfilter before to remove traces that have shown up on an ICP, it just goes brown.
Okay.
Just like a normal piece of filter. And I've always thought, is it actually doing anything?
Yeah.
But this time I cut half of the polyfilter. I cut the polyfilter in half, put half of it in the quarantine tank, and it went bright blue like within hours.
Yeah.
So it really does work.
It does make a difference then.
But it didn't make a huge difference. So it went. I tested before and after because I only used half the pad because I wanted to see what it does. And I put it in there for 24 hours, 48 hours, something like that. Not long. But it went blue straight away and didn't go any bluer. So I don't know I don't know how long it absorbs the stuff for. But it went from before it was the copper was 0.89, so 0.9 to 0.5 after the polyfilter.
Yeah.
So not a huge. I thought it might strip out all of that, but not a massive impact actually.
Yeah.
Disappointingly, because then if you wanted to use just polyfilter to remove all the copper, you're going to need a lot of it.
Yeah.
So water changes are a better way of doing it, I think.
Out of interest, I know we'll go back to what I was talking about in a second, but out of interest, why have you taken all the copper out then? Because I believe... sorry.
Yeah. So it's a risk. Okay. But what I decided was, so I have the problem I had, I found out, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The problem I had was that when I finished copper treatment, let's say I did 30 days of copper treatment. At the moment, all the fish look fine, by the way, and they're all eating and they're healthy and all that sort of stuff. But when I did the original plan was to do 30 days of copper treatment, strip out all the copper, and then just leave them in there for 2 months whilst my main tank sits fallow, because I can't put anything in the tank until the fallow period is ended. So the plan was take the copper out after 30 days of the quarantine tank, and they just sit in there and wait for 2 months until the main tank is ready. But if you do that, some of the cysts can stay on. So the cysting stage of white spot can survive, and then when you get rid of the copper, it will then go back into the water column, and then it won't die because there's no copper there. So you run the risk of the white spot coming back.
Yeah.
So I can't do that. So what I have to do, so what I'm going to do instead, and that's why what people do in that situation is, once they've treated the fish in 30 days or whatever, 21 days of copper, they then move them to a different. If you're going to observe them, you move them to a different tank.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have that risk. But I can't do that. So what I decided to do was strip out all the copper now.
Yeah.
It might come back. It might not. I might be okay. Who knows? But anyway, maybe it's inevitable. I don't know. But strip out the copper now. And then 30 days before my fallow period ends, start the copper treatment again.
Yeah.
That does mean they get more copper than I would have liked, ideally. And I don't know if I'll do 30 days. I don't, 21 days. I don't know. But basically, so the end of the copper period will now coincide with the end of my fallow period.
Okay.
So then they can go straight from there into the main tank, and then everyone's happy.
So basically being double quarantined, essentially.
Yeah, effectively, which I didn't really... I don't feel like giving them a double treatment is ideal. But...
Is it better? Like, look...
the choices are that, or I just leave them in the quarantine tank, either with copper for 90 days, or with no copper for the next 2 months, and run the risk of the spot coming back. And
the fish definitely get more lethargic, I think, when they're in copper. And I actually wonder if it's because there's not a lot of flow in my quarantine tank anyway. There's an air stone, but they just don't seem to swim around as much. You can see a video when they first go in, as opposed to now. And sometimes I wonder if I'm doing more harm than good, which I think I mentioned last week, because they've done 21 days now, I think of it, and nearly over 21 days. They've got a week left, and I look at them and go, like, is it better to put you in now? No. So, like, we've come this far, Ryan. Just wait. But it's funny because remember last week I said that convict tanks are one of the most peaceful tanks. I've had to separate them. They were fine for like 21 days. They were completely fine. I've now had to put a divider between them.
But what? So what? You had 2 convict tanks, or what did you?
I got 1 convict tank and 1 powder blue tank. And
right. Okay.
The powder blue tank is smaller than the convict tank, and the convict tank. Well, the powder blue used to bully the convict tank. All of a sudden, the convict tank has realized it's bigger than the powder blue, and now they're not. I've had to separate them because it's not happy with it. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I'm really, really looking forward, because especially with the Flame Angel, it makes you nervous. It makes you like, and I just think just because you've come through, like, got through 3 weeks, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to get through 4 weeks, because it might be doing something internally to them that I don't know. But yeah, so the reason I got the new fish system is because I am determined to. There's a couple of reasons, but the main one, the first one, is I'm determined to get the water box set up properly. The fish needs to be quarantined. It's taking too long. It's like demoralizing for me. So I thought I'm going to get loads of fish, do them all in one go, and then, like, I've still got my old quarantine tanks, and if I find new fish I want in the next 2 weeks, I can essentially do an every 2 to 3 week cycle with it. So I can keep buying stuff and put as many things in there as possible. So not as possible, but like as quickly as possible, without sort of skipping the quarantine period. So that's what I'm doing. The new fish that I got this week are a male and female leopard peacock wrasse. Yeah. So the male leopard peacock wrasses, you see them much less than the females. And have you seen a male leopard peacock wrasse?
Probably, but the females you see all the time.
The males are amazing. If you're gonna get one or the other, get the male, because they're like green and purple. They're really, really nice fish. I got myself a normal yellow chorus wrasse. You know, so Alex always gets funny when I say yellow chorus wrasse, because apparently they don't exist.
Well, I watched actually, so I'm glad, because I watch every now and then. I see someone really knowledgeable who's been in the hobby like 20 years, and they say yellow chorus wrasse, and I'm like, no. But there was a video I watched the other day when I was looking into quarantining wrasses. There's a video on the Humble Fish YouTube channel by the wrasse guy. I can't remember his name, but he calls himself the wrasse guy, and he said, some people call this the yellow chorus wrasse. There's no such thing as a yellow chorus wrasse. There's a red chorus wrasse, and there's a Halichoris crius, which is the yellow wrasse, but there's no such thing as a yellow chorus wrasse. And I was like, yes.
Well,
I don't know why it annoys me, because I'm not normally pedantic about that sort of thing, but it just bugs me.
I also know that, but I only know that because you told me I was wrong.
And I know, and you like to say it now because it winds me up. So
I like to say it to annoy you. I got a copper band which is eating. So it's there is definitely a way to keep copper bands. There is just a method to keep copper bands. They are not as difficult as people think they are anymore. They just aren't. And it's how you introduce them. So you're saying, but I look.
They're not as difficult. You can keep them easily, but
they take more effort.
Exactly.
Right? We know more about them now. Is what I'm trying to say.
So actually, and that's so BRS did these when it was Ryan BRS. He did the videos with Elliot from Marine Collectors, and they Elliot kind of like chuckled at the term expert only. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm probably not saying exactly what he said, but he was like, his view was basically, look, there's no such thing as an expert only fish. It's just the levels of. It's not a good description of it because you don't need to be a fish expert. It's just levels of effort that you need to put in. And you've said before, I've seen it recently. You did a video on Instagram where you said, see, keeping copper bands is easy. All you need to be able to do is feed it directly every day, 3 times a day.
yeah. So it was funny. When I first put it in, it didn't eat. And I was like, see, normally I won't buy a fish that's not eating. Like, that is just my number one rule. It doesn't matter what fish it is. I will not buy it if it's not eating, because that's like the number one hurdle. You can sometimes fish will never eat once they come into captivity, but if you see it eating in the shop, then it's fine. Anyway, so I broke my rule for this. There was a fat, healthy copper band, appeared to be healthy. I didn't appear anything wrong with it, and I broke my own rule because it wasn't eating. And I thought to myself, I have enough experience with these now to see if I can like get them eating. It didn't eat immediately. On the first day, didn't eat. On the second day, didn't eat. So I thought, so this is the trouble that people have. So I went to Maidenhead in Little Hampton, and I bought live brine shrimp, live mysis, live bloodworm, live copepods. And I thought, let's see if it eats any of these. This is what I mean. You can have these fish if you're willing to put the effort in. Most people.
That's actually why expert only is probably not a bad word for a bad expression for it, because if you've been in the hobby 6 months, if I've been in the hobby 6 months, all I'm doing is feeding mysis or brine shrimp or something. I might not even think, that sounds obvious, but I might not even think, let's go into the shop and buy 10 different things and feed it. And you might be paranoid about putting too much fish, because when I got my copper band, my most recent one that lived for few years, I was putting 12 cubes of frozen in a day, and I was normally at like 3. My phosphate it was like the water was solid phosphate, but and like it was just a cloud of mysis. But it's like I had to do that to get him to eat. So it's not. I don't agree that they're easy to keep at all, but if you know what you're doing, then it's doable.
It's interesting because I was about to say something, and Pelagic Swimmer has literally just contradicted what I was about to say. It ate all of them except the bloodworm.
I've seen lots of people say
that's what I was saying. That's what I was most surprised with. Loads of people have say bloodworm is the way to go. Not a single fish in the whole system touched the bloodworm. They ate everything else, but not the bloodworm, which was interesting.
Live bloodworm, was it?
Yeah. Everything, they were all live. But what I did was that. And then, I fed all of the fish, all the different things to try to get them to just to see which ones reacted to what. Because I've actually never fed live food before, but I thought if I mix the live food and then put in some frozen food at the same time, maybe we'll get confused. And that's exactly what happened. The cod band, firstly on the first day, started eating the live food, and on the second day, it started eating the live food and the frozen food. So, and that's like 95% of the battle with copper bands, getting them to eat. And then the last 5% is putting them in a tank without fish that are going to attack them. So, which is probably not a powder blue.
Keep feeding them quite a lot for as long as they live.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. So,
apart from that, it's easy.
Yeah. Apart from that, it's easy. There is, however, another fish which I broke my do not buy fish that aren't eating rule. That is the golden angel. So I got a golden angel is a type of dwarf angelfish. You don't see them very often. They're actually In fact, I can't even remember the last time I saw one, but I had one many, many years ago. Remember, I had 7 dwarf angels in one tank. This was one of them. So I when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get that. And that didn't eat anything. We didn't eat the frozen, the live food, nothing. And they are known for being a pain. So even I risk impulse buys sometimes. I knew it was a bad idea. I literally knew. I thought this will cause me a headache, and I got it. I got it anyway. There is a possibility that the flame angel won't like it, but it's the same as with tanks and things like that. You can mix them if in a large enough tank with the right rockscape and if they're well fed. There's a whole range of things.
Yeah. But so, still a risk, potentially.
It is a risk, but the most important thing is that, and I say this to people all the time, I don't mind if people mix fish. There are loads of people that have success with mixing tangs. Loads of people have success with mixing angelfish, all sorts of things. But you have to be willing to put in the effort to get that fish out. If there's a problem, either get the fish out that's the problem or get the fish out that's being chased. But you need to decide before you buy that fish, am I that sort of person? So now there is a risk still. You might put it in the evening and come in the morning and it might be dead. But
I've had it before where I couldn't even catch. I tried to catch the fish. You couldn't do it. And then it killed the other fish before I could catch it.
Yeah. Some dwarf angels are a pain in the ass to catch. In fact, dwarf angels, I would say, are the hardest fish in a tank to catch. They don't go in the fish traps, not easily.
But everything would go in the fish trap if you put something in there that it wants. Is that not the case?
So flame angels and coral beauties were the hardest fish I had to catch. They don't like leaving the rock work. They stick very close to the rock. So even if you put the trap close to the rock work, they still don't like to leave the security of their home.
Yeah.
I spent weeks trying to catch a coral beauty. Now, I had a pair of flame angels. They were a breeding pair, and I sold them to a facility to breed them. It was a proper company that was breeding fish at the time. And I caught the male, but I couldn't catch the female. So the male was in the sump, and then I got the male out of the sump, put it in a little plastic box, put it into the fish trap, and the female went straight in. It was like, oh, you're here. And I caught it immediately within 5 minutes after trying to catch it for ages.
Yeah.
So
there you go. So you put something it wants in the trap. In this case, it was a bit of tail.
True.
I've just got to go back and so JJ asked. I did put it in the comment. He said, "Why do you need to leave the tank fallow for 3 months? And if you leave your tank fallow for 6 weeks at 27 degrees C, the theory is, or not the theory, I think that Humble Fish will tell you if you do it for 6 weeks at leave your tank fallow at six weeks at 27 degrees centigrade, then that it speeds everything up, and after that point, it's not possible for the parasite to still exist. And that's fine, but there are a couple of things. Firstly, when you go looking into it, and I'm not saying Humble Fish is wrong, when you look at various people who know what they're doing, and I take advice on this from a very small select group of people. And when I say take advice, I research advice from a select group of people. And I can't remember who it was, but there was someone very respectable who said, we leave it fallow for 77 days.
Yeah.
Rather than 45, and lots. And I just thought, you know what if I get it wrong? What if I set my tank at 27 degrees, but actually the heater is it doesn't read properly, and it's actually 26 degrees, and then I put it in after. And I just thought, let's just do 3 months. I know it's crap, it's not ideal, but I just thought I just don't want to risk anything. I'm happier leaving it for the full 3 months, because then I know that's overkill probably. But I know that it's far more likely that it's completely fine, and I haven't made any stupid errors that have brought the fish back in, or like I might have used a net between the two. I don't know what. Just basically, I just thought, look, let's just leave it for 3 months, and then that's fine. Okay, there's probably more time than I need to, but I'm okay with that.
It's, as far as I'm concerned, and when you go through this much effort, it's worth the extra days.
Yeah. But and if I'd done this a few more times, maybe I'd do 27 degrees next time. But when it's your first time, you always want to be more cautious. And I couldn't actually find anything that said, because I didn't. My tank just sits at 24 degrees. I haven't changed it, and all the stuff I read said 27 degrees for 6 weeks, but didn't say how long it would be if it's not at 27 degrees.
Yeah,
I probably didn't look hard enough. But anyway, 3 months is good. Fish that you'd got, Ryan.
So that's all the fish, all of my fish. I do, however, have some other fish, and I think I've done my week in reefing now. I got some quite special, like, royalty fish in at the moment, and I think I will pass it over to you too, because that's probably your main part of your week in reefing, considering you can't do anything with your tank.
There's a few things, but they're not as exciting as this. So
Okay.
we'll kick off with the big stuff. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Brian from TMC on the live stream. He was a brilliant guest. If you haven't watched it, I'd recommend you go back and watch it. He's really interesting. And the main thing that I took away from that, apart from all the interesting knowledge, was that me and Ryan were like, yeah, right, Brian, you've got to get us a Japanese masked swallowtail angel, because we wanted one for ages. And he was like, I can make that happen. And it was like, seriously? And he was like, well, let me have a look. Let me see what I can do. And I didn't actually know if anything was going to come of it. But with thanks to him and Reef Keeper Moss End, cheers, Ed, it has happened, Ryan. So you now have, hang on, where's play? So this is one of the females, and I'll show you a video of the male in a sec, but you have 2 females and a male?
There are 2 females and a male in there, yes. So this is my quarantine system now.
Yeah.
So that's the female. That's one of the females.
And this is the male. Oh, that's the male.
And, yeah, this is the male. So, and what it's currently doing right now is it's eating live mysis, but ignoring frozen mysis.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
it's
he's going for it to be. He's loving the live mysis thing.
It's fun. It's like this is the funniest fish I think I've ever had. So it will eat frozen brine shrimp, but not frozen mysis, and it will eat live mysis, but not live brine shrimp, which is just it like boggles my mind why it would do that.
So the only thing with that is that the brine shrimp that you're feeding it is garlic brine, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So that could explain it, and
that's true actually.
And so if you tried garlic mysis, it might get him hooked, and then weed him off the garlic slowly.
To be fair, the food, the frozen mysis does disappear after a period of time. So it's whether he's eating it or it's going down the overflow, I don't. There's nothing in the sump. I don't even have a field stock in the sump at the moment. I've just let it. I'm letting everything cycle through, because I don't want anything stopping the food at the moment. I put the food in and I'm letting it, and it goes through the sump, and it literally goes all over the baffles and everything, and then goes back in to feed the other fish. I'm trying to keep the system as spotless as possible, because for 2 reasons. Firstly, obviously, ammonia is a real risk at the moment. It's not a there are a few. It's a relatively large tank. It's like 400 liters, but I've just thought
as well, that means that if you do get ammonia, doing a water change, because like with my little 100 liter tank, 50% is fine, but
it wouldn't like. These are like not one of a kind fish, but like they're fish that both of us have wanted for like 2 years.
And this is, I should explain, because so we talked about this a few times, but those fish, I last saw one at Reef Keeper Reef Keeper Moss End actually, 5 years ago, something like that. And
sure
I haven't seen.
I last saw one. It's gone now. What was the one that was in that was owned by Steve?
Reef Dreams.
Yeah, Reef Dreams was the one I saw. Was that not the one you saw?
No. Last one I saw was at Reef Keeper Moss End about 5 years ago, and you just don't see them. And I've asked every shop I go into. Yeah. I'm always like, if it's a new shop, I'm like, can't get hold of this fish, can you? And I'll look into it. Yeah, I can get it. Yeah, I can. No worries. And then they never do, because it's very difficult to get hold of. So for some people, those fish will be a bit boring, and you'll be like, I don't know what the fuss is about. But for you and me, they're very exciting.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the last place I saw was Reef Keeper. And now these guys came to Reef Keeper as well. So if you want one, give Ed a Reef Keeper a shout.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's going. I'm not saying he's going to guarantee.
Alex guarantees you he will have you one tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. But Ed does get some of the less common fish from time to time.
Some like rare and expensive things. So.
Yeah. So
I'd be interested to, as I said, look, we spoke about having him on once before, And I know he said he's up for it, and because it would be a very different conversation to some of the ones we've had with other people. So I like Ed doesn't listen to this, I'm sure, but if he does, like we need to set a date, because I have some questions. I'd love to know what the most like expensive fish that he's got in. Does it make him nervous? Because obviously, if you're getting in an angelfish, which is like thousands of pounds or whatever, like if it, like a king eye or a clarion or whatever, every morning you must open the shop and be like, is that still there? But I'm assuming they're probably they're like custom orders, probably usually some of the more expensive.
I think so. Although I've seen expensive fish in there. There was one that I can't remember what it was. It might have been a king eye actually. It said price on application.
That was the king eye.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't a fish that they brought in for a customer, but I guess most of the time a customer will ask for one and they'll get it in for them. But
I don't know for sure. I think it was the first king eye into the country, possibly. Don't quote me on that. There's no facts here, as always. But I think that, and he also had a specific tile fish. It begins with
yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think they'd only just been discovered or something, and then
that
they were
was the first. Yeah, exactly. And that was the first ever, and they had another one in since then, actually.
Yeah. They don't do it for me. Those tile fish. I don't get it. So, but it's I have quite a few questions for Ed that I think would be really interesting too. The only other thing is, look, this is a bit of a weird place to say this. I had the opportunity to speak to one of Ed's staff. And I asked him,
Bruce.
It was Bruce, yeah, but I wasn't going to embarrass Bruce. But I asked him, I said, what makes that shop different? Like it's well known for being one of the best shops in the country. And I said, what makes that shop different to every other shop? And interesting enough, he said it was Ed, like the owner. And he said how he treats the staff is so good, and it's amazing what you're willing to do when you get treated well. So I think that this is not the place to have this discussion, probably, but like I think the credit where credit's due is what I'll say. So because you won't get, there's probably not a lot of people that are praising their boss for no reason.
No, indeed.
Do you go around praising your boss? I don't know if you have a boss, do you?
I do. My boss is absolutely amazing. So I've had several managers in the past who've been various degrees of terrible or okay. My current boss he's an absolute genius.
Is he listening now?
No, he's not. He knows everything. He's extremely intelligent. He's brilliant at the technical side. He's brilliant at managing. He's a really nice guy, but he still drives you. He's like, I've never had a manager like him. But apart from that, if you'd have asked me, my last place was okay. A couple of offices ago though, I'd have been. In fact, actually, I've had one very bad manager I can think of. That I'd be like, eh.
So that's what makes a fish shop great. The people, it's the staff basically, because the fish and corals are the same in lots of different shops. Will have the same stuff, but the experience you get from the people there makes a massive difference, I think. So anyway, that is all I wanted to say. I thought that was so nice. I actually sent Ed a message to go, just so you know, this is what was said about you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it. So yeah, these the angelfish are currently giving me anxiety. Every morning I now wake up and I go, are they alive? Yes, they are. I am treating them with the only thing. So for the first week or so, my main focus is just to get them feeding really, really well. They are the females are the best fish with regards to feeding them. What's happening at the moment, any food that gets left over by the other fish in the other tanks, I scoop out and put it in with the females and they eat it. They're like the bin of that tank. I have an ammonia checker on there. I took bacteria, I took the filter media out of the water box. I also have two other filtration filters in there that have also been cycled. And I'm also putting what's the other thing? You get these little balls. Are they like reef pearls or something? They're also a form of bacteria, and I'm putting those in they actually work really, really well. So I'm doing everything I can to make them as fat and healthy as possible, while also reducing the risk of ammonia. So, and if I have to do a 100% water change, I'll do 100% water change. These fish don't come along very often.
No, indeed, and the it's funny because so you mentioned before the live stream, you were like, "Ah, the male's eating some stuff, but he's not eating other stuff," and you like you could. I'd forgotten about them, and because so I'm still on the hook if there's something happens to them, it's going to cost me money. But because it's not, I don't see them every day. I completely forget, so I'll go like 2 or 3 days without thinking about them, and then you'll text me. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. So it's great for me.
Yeah, because you get all the quarantine with none of the mental trauma. There's still risk, obviously, because that was the as you said, the agreement was that. Like
I've paid a lot of money basically, so
so but you don't have to think about it, and sometimes that's the worst part. Metroplex is the only thing I'm giving them at the moment, and also I did a freshwater dip as well. I freshwater dipped every fish that day, went in, and I was like, oh please be okay.
I've just seen something that we see all the time. So Bish Bash Ash says Marine World Aquatics have them for sale for 195 quid. What they will have, I can guarantee this, is the normal swallowtail angels. Yeah. So the Japanese masked swallowtails, Genacanthus semifasciatus, I think. Are they're very different, but they I guess they don't look a million miles apart, but the females look similar. If there was 200 quid, then they're stolen, because if they were the Japanese ones, I mean. I'm in for more than 200 quid. Let's put it that way.
Do you know what's one funny? Female. I had like such joy from getting these. You know how you really want something and you're looking forward to it. You know it's going to happen, and then you get them. And I had such joy that the day afterwards I was depressed because I wasn't as happy as the day before. Yeah, okay. My mood had gone because I didn't have that sort of high. I love them. I probably have sat with them for like 3 or 4 hours every day because I just sit there watching. I find it very relaxing. And I'm definitely overfeeding them at the moment. But as I said, as long as the ammonia and everything's fine, then it's not an issue. And again, I'm willing to do what needs to be done in that situation. They are costing me an arm and a leg, not the fish, just keeping them alive.
You spent 15 quid on food today, didn't you?
Yeah, I spent 15 quid on food today, and they will have eaten all of it today. Because that's the that's the frozen mysis. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, the Metroplex. Oh, Metroplex. I need for that system. I have to use 20 of the little scoops, which is probably like 16 quid when the thing costs £100 for the bottle of it. But as I said, because they're so rare, and you don't, and I'm doing what needs to be done. I'll be incredibly nervous when it comes to copper. The reason I'm not putting copper with them at the moment is, as I said, firstly, get them comfortable, get them feeding. Metroplex doesn't really have an effect on them, a massive effect on fish. In fact, it actually says on the thing, you can't really, you'll even overdose it. I'm not saying there's no facts here, but it does say overdosing doesn't cause any issues. And then I'm going to quarantine them in line with your fish. I'm going to put copper in with them in line with your fish, so that they end at the same time, unless something shows up. It was also interesting because I thought about getting, because I'm doing a couple of fish for Alex. I'm also doing a flame hawkfish and a couple of other things, a scarlet hawkfish. But he also wanted a pair of clownfish, and I'm like, no clownfish. I don't want any brook in this tank. So even though the chances are they wouldn't have had any brook in this tank, I just was like, no, I'm not. It's not worth the risk. So I'm trying to keep it to low.
Question about reef safeness. So because they're are they reef safe with caution? These are different types of angels. They're Genacanthus. So all the dwarf angels, like the flame angel, the coral beauty, they are Centropyge, whatever. That's their genus. These are Genacanthus, and all Genacanthus angels, at least in theory, are actually legitimately reef safe. Not just should be okay. They are reef safe. So like what's the masked angel called? The Personatus, the really expensive one. All the Bellis angels, the normal swallowtail angels, there's another type of but there's a few Genicanthus. So if you see an angelfish with Genicanthus in the name, and Bish Bash Ash has put the name in the chat, that if it's Genicanthus anything, then in theory at least it's reef safe. I've never had one, so it's probably going to eat my expensive torch coral on day one. Now I've said that, but in theory they're actually legitimately reef safe, and I've not actually seen reports of people saying, "Oh no, that's the theory," but they do eat corals, so I think they're okay.
The other thing I found from observing them, I forgot to say this. I've separated all three of them from each other because they were sort of picking at each other. Obviously, they're in a small space, and I thought to myself, "No, right. If you cannot be friends, I'm not taking a risk." So they've been separated. They can see each other. One of them is at the top, but I just thought I'm not taking any chances with these fish. Because if you come in one like the next day and all of a sudden one's got missing a fin or something, I'd be really annoyed. But from observing them, is it really interesting? The food touches the floor and it's like it doesn't exist to them. And the reason I realize this is because they are, I believe, open water fish swim. They take things out of the water column.
Yeah.
So they basically, once things touch the floor, they're like, that doesn't exist anymore. So the best way to get them feeding properly is to have the flow really high.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so it keeps the food suspended for longer. So these are all little things that you think that you go, oh, this is easy, this hobby. But when you actually like start to realize
there are levels. It can be pretty easy, but keeping specialty fish like this is different.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other things that I've been up to this week, actually, slightly less exciting. One semi-exciting, actually. So the most exciting thing for people who listen with headphones in particular is this thing.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a new chair. This arrived this week. So my old creaky chair, and it doesn't even creak at all. My old creaky chair is now gone.
I'm looking for a new chair. Can I really? Have that one so we can bring the creek back?
No, you cannot. It's gone. And this is now here, and it's good. And the last one was a cheapo chair, and this is actually a lot more comfortable as well. So that's good. So there's no more creaking on the live stream. And also other stuff I've brought in. So I bought a new camera about a week or so ago. It's a Sony A7 IV. And actually, let me just show you a photo. So actually, the photo quality, the picture quality on my last camera was fantastic, but actually this is a video I took of my bubble tip anemones. The image quality actually on this camera is actually a step up, which I'm slightly surprised at, but it's really, really good. But what that does mean is that I'm selling, you can see some boxes over my shoulder. I'm selling all my old Fuji gear. So if you want a Fuji X-T4, a 30mm macro, which is an amazing lens, I love that, or a 16-55 lens, go on eBay and find it.
Well, you teach me how to use them. Have you film your videos with?
Yeah.
I've got a camera that's good that I don't use to film videos, so I don't need that.
Yeah. You've got the same one. You've got the same one that I've got. Yeah. The X-T4. Yeah. You don't have to. You've got different lenses, but yeah. But anyway, so I have a new camera. It's so good, and the good thing is because I had quite a few lenses for my Fuji. With a bit of luck, when I've sold all of those, it should cover the cost of the new Sony. So it should be. I've done some man maths.
Yeah.
The camera upgrade should cost me £0.
Nice.
But I might not. I might have overestimated how much I'm going to get from my camera stuff. So we'll see. And the other thing that I noticed this week, I've just closed down my Instagram, which I need to go back to. So I like high flow generally, and it's probably from a disease, a hangover from my SPS and my acro tank days. And I tend to prefer higher flow generally, and as long as you're not pointing a power head at an LPS coral, generally I find most corals will be quite happy with higher flow anyway. But I turned my flow down recently. About a week ago, about 10%. So my Vortec MP40s are on 35%, something like that, and I turned them down to 25%.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like pretty much straight away, that all of my LPS polyps, and you can't really see from this, but that torch in particular was kind of the polyps weren't as stretched out as they should be, and like for a couple of hours a day, they'd be like half shrunk in, And since I've changed the flow, they're out much longer. It just looks much happier. Suddenly, it's like noticeably better. So I think I was potentially giving my my corals a bit too much flow, but it's noticeably better now. The only thing with that tank, I need to have on the Cade, I have them for 15 minutes every day. Those 2 power heads go to 100%. That lifts all the stuff off the floor and puts it through the filter. I need to do the same thing on my main tank, because having low flow, you do get stuff settling on the bottom. So I need to set that up at some point.
Turn the flow off for 2 hours, and I bet you go back and you'll go, wow, I had no idea how big some of these corals were.
Oh, if I turn it off for 3 minutes, they all go crazy. They go massive. Yeah. Yeah.
I turn the flow off sometimes for when people come and buy corals in person. Mm-hmm. And then I forget to put it back on, just so they can see through the top of the tank. Yeah. I then forget to put it back on, come back hours later, and I'm like, these corals are so much bigger than when they're not being battered.
Yeah.
So,
but there you go. And that was the only other thing that was worth talking about. Before we come on to the headline topic, then we're going to do member questions, which is over here. Hang on a second. I have a Genacanthus melanospilos, which I think is the normal
I think that,
angel, normal swallowtail angel, and doesn't cause any issues, except she sometimes chases my male carpenter ass. Yeah, if I get aggression, I'm going to be so pissed off. But anyway, right, member questions. So first one, let's do refresh. First one is from actually I'm not going to do them in order, because this is from the Crusade, and he says Ryan appreciation post, that is all.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that
strange,
nice?
But nice.
Strange.
I'm like, what's the catch?
Yeah, Ryan's not used to people being nice to him, so
True.
That was nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Second is from Skier Sailor Biker Guy, who says, tank upgrade. I can't keep the old one running forever, so I guess one just has to transfer livestock across, and for minimal uglies and focus on stability. Cycle been done, so fish will be safe. So I think he set up a new tank. You say he set up a new tank? And yeah. Set up a new tank. He's got the old one still running, and how to transfer it all over. So I did that. I've done that a few times recently, actually. And I did that with my most recent tank, the big Red Sea. In fact, I did it with the Cade. The Cade used to be the fluval. I moved all the fluval stock over to the Cade. And then the Red Sea one, the big tank, that was I moved all my water box stuff into that tank. And actually on the Red Sea one, I did it slightly differently. I used the cycle juice, the Red Sea cycle program stuff.
Yeah.
Before I moved stuff across. Then I put a load of live rock in, and then when the ammonia was gone, then I put all the new rock over. But on the Cade, I filled it up with new sand. I filled it up with new salt water, transferred all of the water and the rock over from the Cade and all the corals, put the fish in, and it was fine, because you've got that rock. It is cycled. You're losing a lot of bacteria in the sand and on the pipes and everywhere else, but it's fine. So I wouldn't sweat it too much. The only thing I'd say is turn your lights down. So on the Red Sea tank in particular, I got a lot of light on that tank. I got 460 watt lights, and I don't even know how many watts the AI blades are, but there's a lot of power on that. So I had to turn them right down. So they were really dim, like 5%, 6%, something like that at first. Because if you have a brand new tank, brand new sand, all this sort of stuff, and you bump the lights up, you're gonna see some stuff that you don't want to be seeing. And so just over I think I did it over the course of a month or two, just built it up to about 25%, which is what it's at now. So be a little bit gentle on the lighting. And that was actually, so that meant that my corals that had been in my water box for ages were getting much less light than they normally get. But that's fine. Yeah. They'll be fine for months with too little light.
Use the same water or new water? I can't remember.
The trouble is on the water box to the Red Sea tank, the water box was held 100 liters of water, maybe 120, maybe at max, something like that. Not a lot. And it was the Red Sea tank holds 700 liters of water after the rocket. So I can put in all of it, and it won't touch the side. So I did put in some, but not much at all, to be honest. Okay. Ideally, you would reuse as much water as you can do.
Yeah.
But I actually don't even. A lot of people say that. I don't even think that's that important, to be honest. But I think it's probably not a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I was just interested. I was wondering if it, because if you use all new water, there's been no nutrients in it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So you got to test like buggery
Yeah,
because you don't want it to be zero. And I did have nutrients in there from day one.
yeah,
And I was feeding, and because I kind of had a cycle, and I had a low level of stuff in there, and then I was feeding regularly because I had fish in straight away. So I didn't have that problem. I thought I would do, because I thought, well, I've got a 2-foot tank full of fish that's going to a 6-foot tank. So there's a lot more water and no more fish. And I didn't have that issue, but you need to test all the time.
Yeah.
Nutrients is because you just don't want them bottoming out. But yeah, you're quite right, actually. But
that's
yeah,
when you get the really bad stuff.
Yeah, you probably should reuse as much of the water as you can do. Not to the point that if you dredging up the bottom of your sump, you get all sorts
probably
of silt
not.
and nonsense. So within reason, like it doesn't matter if it's you're missing 20% at the bottom of your tank or whatever, but probably best to do that. Although I don't actually personally stress about it. It doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. But
without realizing, you probably also may help the corals by lowering the light, because if you got very low nutrients but very high light, you will have a problem.
That's very true.
Yeah, it's that's something that people don't usually think of when they move tanks.
I didn't. So I thought about reducing the lights, but not because of that.
Yeah. I knew that because when I very first started the coral farm, obviously there was hardly any nutrients, and I was dosing nutrients. But the thing that my Montipora stripped on the first couple of days, and I was like, "What's going on?" And that was when I realised the difference between the light and the nutrient levels was So Montipora is pretty tough. But so you don't want to start a new coral farm and then all of a sudden start killing your corals on day one.
Corals. No, indeed.
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't actually worry too much. I would just test a lot, bring your lights down, and move over a load of water, half of the water or something. But even that, I liked the idea of kind of a restart, because it's almost 100% water change, probably a 90% water change. I kind of liked that.
The corals were like, "Oh, clean water! I'm not used to this."
But it's I don't know. But anyway, so transfer as much water as you can probably is the better advice. Bring your lights down for a couple of months, build them up slowly, and test every 5 seconds everything.
There you go.
And then Gary McConnell says, any advice on a Royal Grammer in a fluval evo? Oh, bloody Royal Grammars.
Don't buy a sick one.
Bastard. Yeah, don't buy a sick one. That chases every new fish around the tank until it's so stressed it has to be removed. So far, I ended up having to remove a diamond goby, a small wrasse. Have tried moving the rock around mirrors. Someone suggested a 6-line wrasse. That's a terrible idea. If you put it if that's like saying, oh, I've got this really aggressive person who lives in my house. How do I sort that? Put another aggressive person in. You're just going to have a different aggressive person. So that's a bad idea. Yeah. There's no guarantee that he would chill. The 6-line would chill the
no, you probably out. Would have an aggressive 6-line.
But anyway, that's a bad idea. The honest answer: take out the Royal Grammar. I'm afraid. Yeah, it's not going to change.
And don't listen to whoever that person was who said about the 6-line. Probably shouldn't listen to that person.
Yeah. But Royal Grammars can be quite aggressive, especially in a small tank.
You want a larger, peaceful fish. If you want to try, I'm not suggesting this, but if you want to try a fish, you need to pick a larger one which is more peaceful than the aggressive one, which might keep it in check. Don't get more aggressive.
Not in a fluval evo, you don't.
Oh, no,
you don't want to listen to them.
I missed the start of that, but I'm saying generally speaking. Remember, I spoke last week about the Nassau tangs. How they keep the other tangs in check. I've never tried it with different types of fish, so it might not work. But
I'm not sure about that, because some
not
fish
in a fluval evo, no.
No, and in any event, some fish are super aggressive and will go for anything. Doesn't matter how big they are. So, but anyway, to be honest, the best advice is to remove the Royal Grammar, take it back to your local fish shop, put in whatever other fish you want to get in. You probably only want 3 fish most in that tank anyway. Put those fish in, and then if you want to, buy another Royal Grammar. Don't get the same one back. Buy a different one if you really have to. But there's a chance that they'll be aggressive. The clowns in my
tank bred one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Even then, but the clowns were aggressive sometimes in my K tank. And this is the trouble with any tank like that, small tank, like a 2 foot or less, really, and the Evo is 56 centimeters long, I think, and it's small, you're always running the risk that a fish will be. There's not a lot of territory, so it does. So Royal Grammars can be aggressive, but that doesn't mean they're super aggressive. But in a small space, they're more likely to be like, I need my space, So it's just always a risk. So probably the best answer is don't have the Royal Grammar.
Yeah, I like the suggestion that's just come in.
Yeah. Looks like the Royal Grammar is moving in with a Picasso triggerfish for the shout up for the podcast people. Did I go into a Jessup's live stream? No, you did not, but you would be forgiven for thinking as much. Right. I think is that every member question? Let me just do one final refresh. That is all the member questions.
Can we read the first one again?
Ryan appreciation post. That is all.
Nice. There you go.
Okay, so this means we are now on to 55, 54. We are now on to the headline topic, which is the Prestige Reef top 10 fastest growing corals.
Prestige Reef top 10.
Yeah.
I like how the last 2 weeks you put it on me. You're like, go.
I like that as well. Yeah, I love that.
Right. So as I said at the beginning, for the people that missed the beginning bit, corals grow. What?
I've just realised. So last week, where we did a couple of weeks ago, we did the live stream that was about the how to diagnose problems with your corals.
Oh yeah.
And I was going to type it up and upload it to the Facebook group. I've deleted all my notes.
Oh, good.
I just realised. Anyway,
can't you just do Control-Z so you don't delete them?
No, I know. This is I've done. No, never mind. I can't. Okay. Anyway, top 10 corals.
Okay. So as I said at the beginning, different corals will grow differently in different environments. So these are the ones that I have trouble in the coral farm with. And
trouble, i.e., because they grow so quick.
They grow too quickly. They grow under things. They'll grow in between the frag plug holes. There's some corals that I cannot get rid of unless I take the frag racks out and put them in acid, and then put them back in the farm afterwards and hope for the best that it doesn't come back. So it's not hope for the best and come back. It doesn't matter if you have fast-growing corals, as long as you can sell them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But so the first one, and this is the worst one for me, is the Mr. Freeze Leptoceras. So
this is in no. Is this the fastest of all?
This is the one that I have the most trouble with. Yeah,
because you're supposed to do it in reverse order, Ryan. Start with the slowest.
This is not the one I have the most trouble with.
Well, that's gone out the window. So no, this is your fastest growing coral, right?
Who can you how can you say which one is actually fast? This is a matter of opinion, so it's sort of irrelevant, really.
Unless you're measuring it, yeah.
This is the one that causes me the most trouble. It's not massively colourful. It's all right, but it's like just blue.
Unusual blue colour, but
yeah. But it's not super popular. So again, is my opinion based on a coral that grows fast, or is my opinion based on a coral that doesn't sell? So I've got loads of it, so it appears to grow fast.
Okay, yeah.
But this is the one that I have most trouble with. It can sting some of my other corals. It seems to win against other things, and which is unusual. I think I do have other Leptoceras which are far more popular, and it's good. Leptos are great corals for growing and fragging and selling. If you want to make money from coral, they're great. Same as Sophastria, great corals. Just not so much this one. This one grows in between the frag. The one I was describing a minute ago, where it grows in between the frag holes, is this. It's and it's a pain because every time I scrape it off, it just comes back. It seems to come back with a vengeance, and it'll literally be like. It can probably cover half a rack in
an hour.
If it's like dotted around, there's a few of them. I will probably cover half a rack or a quarter rack in a month, basically, which is fast. None of the other corals can do that. But
I'm going to make a suggestion.
What's the suggestion?
This is not for you, for your benefit, but the one of the problems with that coral in terms of people buying is it's blue. It's quite a nice colour blue, to be fair, but it's blue. So when you've got your blue lights on, you're not going to see it's just going to look black.
Yeah.
But what looks good next to blue?
True.
Orange. So I
True.
reckon if you put that next to a jack-o'-lantern Leptoceras,
Yeah,
are they both? That looks like they're different. Is that a Leptostrata?
it's not Leptostrata.
It's Leptoceras. Anyway, if you put it next to that looks different to me. Anyway, if
I
you
mean,
put it next to
they might be. Like I see what you're saying. They do look different. It's definitely not a Leptostrata.
anyway, whatever. If you put those two next to each other, I think they might look better. The jack-o'-lantern's a lovely coral. I'm not
True.
massively keen on the Mr. Freeze. Sorry.
No, well, neither is anyone else. That's
No.
why I've got so much of it.
Yeah.
But that's one of those corals where I have to I literally have to chip it off the tray. And when I say I have to I mean work experience guy comes and chips it off the tray. And unfortunately, it literally gets thrown away because it's just it grows out of control. And then a few weeks later, you're like, oh, why is it back? So it wouldn't be so bad if it didn't sting other corals, but it wins when it battles things. So that's number one. Mm-hmm. The second one, which grows really, really fast, is a soft coral. It is a pink encrusting gorgonian. On the website, I have it listed as pink star polyps, but it is actually, I believe, someone told me it was a gorgonian.
So these are out of stock, by the way. So
the reason they're out of stock, the reason they're out of stock is not because I don't have them, is because they have grown all over the glass, all over the back wall. So the problem is when you scrape them off the back wall and then put them onto a frag plug, they're not happy. They have to literally grow onto the frag plugs and then you frag them. Is how I find it. And then again, they're not a massive seller. So do I want to spend time and sell and to focus on? Look, don't get me wrong. People that have small tanks, which are for soft corals, they used to buy quite a few of these.
I'm guessing they're pretty hardy.
Yeah, they're like bulletproof.
12 quid. So they're cheap and hardy, and they're, again, that doesn't look like it's going to glow very nicely under blue lights, but
it doesn't glow at all.
It's under a white lighting during the day. That might look all right. It's kind of a nice color. What's
interesting is that took over so I had a tank originally full of Xenia. It was the first tank as you walk on the farm on the right, and I let Xenia grow all over the walls and everything for fragging for that. That took over the Xenia. So I am the one person in the world that was able to eradicate Xenia by removing it manually, and then but I couldn't remove that manually. That sort of went wild.
So Andrew G has an infestation, and there are loads of star polyps. Star polyp, any kind of star polyp, basically is like there's a blue one or like a drab green one. Yeah, I see loads of people, or maybe they're clove polyps. I can't remember, but they really sit flush to the rock. With just tiny little polyps sticking up, which means you can't pull them off.
Yeah, that's what those are like.
Nightmare. It's the same thing, right? So don't buy that.
They have a place in the hobby, definitely. People that are new to the hobby, usually people with relatively small tanks, which might sound counterintuitive saying small tanks, but you can mess up a small tank, it doesn't matter. It's like, and
that'll be hardy. It'll put up with your mistakes.
So there are beginner people, definitely. I remember Jamie, who obviously has a massive tank, came to me at the very beginning. And he said, "I want to have Xenia," and I went, "You cannot have any Xenia." And I would not sell him the Xenia. And I bet he's glad now he doesn't have it, because other than that, 95% of his tank would be Xenia.
Yeah, indeed. So, there's one coral that's gone a bit crazy, a Zoa of some kind.
He has Pandora Zoas that went crazy. He's also got a load of green star polyps that went crazy, and I think green Kenya tree has has popped up everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
But when you've got a tank that big, it's not massively noticeable.
Okay, well, I'm going to move you on. Number 3.
Yeah, 3. I've gone for Tutti Frutti Zoas. Wait a minute. You should be interjecting your ones as well, because I've only got 5.
Well, so that's the thing. You've got 5 when you were told to do 10.
No, I don't remember being told to do anything.
What does the title say, Ryan?
Technically, you said
10 fastest growing corals.
I only know the title when I click to log in.
I said you've got homework. I told you that.
Yeah, you did. To be fair, you did send me a message saying you've got homework to do, and I went, "Oh, he wants me to do 5 corals."
But okay, anyway, I've got others. I've got a list of various ones. This will end up being more than 10. So number 3 was Tutti Frutti Zoas.
Tutti Frutti Zoas. Pandora Zoas were the ones that I was gonna put up as this. But Tutti Frutti seems to be worse. It's funny because the Zoa tray over the years has changed like quite dramatically, where at first it was the Pandora Zoas, and then I sort of eradicated most of those. Then Purple Bees took over. Then I think something else, Ice Giants, and then now the Tutti Frutti Zoas are the ones that are the dominant Zoas in that tray.
I can't find the comment, but someone said something funny earlier, and he said the fastest growing coral is the one Zoa you don't want in your tank.
I actually think they're nice Zoas.
No, but I'm not saying these in particular. They actually look all right to me, to be fair.
Yeah.
But what he means is because you'll put like 5 Zoas in your tank, and then one of them you're like, oh, I don't really like that one, and that's the one that takes over.
Yeah. That's Pandora's. Pandora's are like brown.
Yeah, okay. So Tutti Fruttis, you find they're particularly fast growing because Zoas generally, that's one on my list, just Zoas, and I've got a few examples, but Zoas generally, they all grow like crazy.
I know what you're saying when you say generally, but not all grow at an equal rate. They grow way faster. It is considerably faster. So like I scrape those off the rack, and again they'll be back because I have to keep them away from my other Zoas. So you can have a selection of nice Zoas and then a whole bunch of just mess. So, but I really like those. A lot of people buy those. That's
they're yellow, and yellow's unusual. Yellow and orange in the center. So
I would say that they would probably be faster growing than the Mr. Freeze Lepto because people buy them and they're still out of control. Whereas the Mr. Freeze Lepto isn't purchased as often as those.
Yeah, okay.
So, but again, they're one of my favorite Zoas. When I got them, I was like, wow, I really like these. I need for them to become a problem. Not a problem, but
yeah.
I think all Zoas should be kept off the main rocks.
Yeah, so I've isolated all the Zoas in my tank.
Yeah,
with one exception, and I put a Rasta Zoa on my main island, and that was in my water box for a couple of years. I've actually always found Rastas to be slow growers, but I've heard other people who said they found them to be really fast growers. So
they're fast for me.
Yeah, so that's on my Gonny Island. So you probably won't see them much, but in a year's time, I'll be like, oh, bloody Rastas, why did I do it?
Yeah.
But you're right, and isolating them, and actually, so shameless plug, I sell little coral islands. You can see there's one there with all my acans on it. Isolating
there is nothing
them,
shameless. Like
no such thing as a shameless.
We lost our shame a long time ago.
Indeed, reefdork.etsy.com. But anyway, if you just put them on any island, it doesn't matter what island it is, isolate them, then you're okay. I did find I tried that with utter chaos in my last tank. And because they spread utter chaos for me, my fastest growing Zoas were utter chaos, scrambled eggs, and laser lemon. They're all really nice Zoas for me. Lovely, lovely, lovely Zoas. And a colony of laser lemon looks amazing. But I found the laser lemon took over everything. And I put it on with 5 other Zoas to make a garden, and it just ended up all laser lemons over time. But so they're all really nice corals. They're beautiful. They look great under blue lights. They look great under white light. But they do grow very fast. And the utter chaos in particular, because the laser lemon and the scrambled eggs are quite small polyps, and they sit close to the rockwork. Yeah. Like Rastas, I really like that look. That's my favourite type of Zoa. Yeah. But the utter chaos, they're quite big polyps, and they sort of they extend like an inch or two up sometimes. And I find that what I found with them is I isolated them on an island, but when they got to the edge, they'd pop off, and then they'd appear. I'd find them the other side of my tank, and I didn't find that with most Zoas, but with utter chaos in particular, they did that. So even when you try to isolate them, it doesn't always work.
Utter chaos will be the most popular Zoa I sell.
I
can never keep them in stock long enough. As soon as you put them back in stock, they sell out immediately. Wow. People absolutely love Utter Chaos.
Yeah, they glow so bright.
I would probably sell double of the amount of those compared to any other Zoas, and it's the brightness of them.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to get into Zoa breeding or growing, Utter Chaos is what you want to go for.
You're going to need a big tank. Bish Bashash has a question. He says, how far would Zoas grow without light? If you had a ceramic mushroom, would they grow over it, but not under the skirt due to lack of light. I see, which we keep them isolated on. So I've got a clip of it. I clip the amount of I've got terabytes of footage of random clips that I'm never going to use, and I've got this one clip of an utter chaos zoa. The stalk is about an inch long, and it's this tiny little sad, half colorless zoa. It's like basically transparent, and it's been living. It was living with. You couldn't see any light there, and it was there for at least months, probably years. And then I found it, and it was fine, just underneath a rock. So they can live with very little light. They can get by. I don't know if that was just catching food or something, or just sucking in nutrients. I don't know, but would it go under a ceramic mushroom? I don't know.
The other thing with those is lighting makes a massive difference to them. If they're under not enough light, they get massive. It's like they try to grow as big as they can to absorb,
stretch up.
Yeah. So if you see a tank and you go, well, how come my zoas don't look like those? It's probably a lighting difference.
I find that zoas actually go well with SPS tanks because you wouldn't think it, but I find personally, so there are some zoas that will do great in low light generally, and they're probably quite varied in terms of what they can put up with. But I find zoas can take quite a lot of light. I've had them growing in 300 or 400 par and looking absolutely pucker. And I found that with some of them, with the longer stem ones, if you put them in lower spot, they start to stretch up a bit. And then when you put them in a higher spot, a higher light, they go, and they look better. So they can take a lot of par in my experience.
I agree.
Okay, so that's zoas covered. What next?
Yeah. I've gone, it's a very specific type of Stylosinellia, which is a Jose Casa Stylosinellia. I think I pronounced that right, I'm pretty sure it's Jose.
Jose Casa, yeah.
Again, it's purple. Do you know what's really weird about Stylosinellias? That I've got like 5 different types of them, and if you ask people what your favorite type is, everyone picks a different one. So some people love this more than all of my other ones.
I really like this one actually. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, this one grows like crazy. My favorite one it would be the Burning Banana Stylosinellia. And actually put them next to each other. I bet that will be a good comparison. I'm giving you a job to do now, aren't you? You hate it when I give you a job to do.
Yeah, banana. Actually, someone's asked what other things you put on islands apart from just those. I use it for all sorts of stuff. So
every coral.
Yeah, basically. I've got a GSP colony there. I've got acans on it. I've done it with torches. Cyphastria go really well. Yeah. Anything, basically. Literally any coral you want. Burning Banana, Stylosinellia, prestigereef.co.uk. Boff. Split screen. Boff. Done. Right. Okay. It's funny because your Burning Banana, that photo there, that looks a bit bland to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do better next time.
Good, thank you. But that is so I have that coral, and when it's particularly under blues,
I know it really, really
nice.
pops.
Yeah, totally.
To be fair, that was one of the first pictures I took for the website. So it's I probably got a little bit better. I didn't know how to use. I still don't know how to use the camera half the time. But
do you want to buy some lenses? Do you know what? That's your problem, Ryan. You need new lenses. That's
I bet
that is what's cool. This is like when you need to upgrade your lights.
Yes,
to make your corals better. So I'll do you a good price.
Are you getting rid of the lens that's like the one where it like extends?
Zoom. Well, what I don't
zoom. You feel like
understand the question. Zoom. yeah.
You had one like you showed me. It was really specialist the way you could zoom in. I think from.
We'll have the conversation later because this is Reef Dork, not Camera Dork. I've talked about cameras too much already.
That's true.
So the purple. That's actually. So I've seen this one. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised it grows quite fast. The thing that puts me off is it's blue. Well, it's purple, but it's basically blue. So again, when the blue lights go off, you're not going to see it.
I have another Stylosinellia, which is different to all of the other ones. So all of them grow really fast, except the Scarlet Fever one. That I've basically been able to get like one frag out of it, like since I've had it. I think I've got 3 at the moment, but I won't sell them because I'm like, if I can just get up, I'm not even sure it's on the website. But it's like
old photo.
It's like really no. That's a rubbish picture.
Faster, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that is it. But it's like really bright pink.
Okay.
So I'll see if there's a
sold out.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Ooh, here's one on Reef to Reef. Hang on. Oh, I can't find it. Anyway, yeah, there was a picture of what it looked like there, but I can't.
There's like it's like a really bright pink color.
Okay, you don't get many pink corals, to be fair.
Yeah, this would definitely stand out as a one of a kind color.
Anyway, oh yeah, here we go. Found it. That one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, but again, I just cannot work out how to grow that piece. All of the other ones, fine.
Oh, really?
I cannot work. I put them in different places in the tank and everything. Maybe it's just a slow grower.
Some corals are so funny.
We should do one slowest growing corals, and I might have 10 of them.
All of the bastards
Yeah,
that you want to grow. Yeah. Okay, so the Jose Casa Stylo.
Yeah.
Was number 4. What's next?
The last one is my last one. Then you're taking over. I'm sure I'll be able to think of a few others. Is green star polyps. Now there are two. Well, there's probably more than 2 strains, but I have 2 strains. The metallic one, which actually I think came from you originally.
Oh, really?
You were the very first person ever to have that metallic green star polyps, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I invented it actually. So
no, the strain that I have, I think came from you. I think ages ago.
Right. Okay.
I have another green star polyps, which is an ugly green one, and that's that one. I haven't got very good. Yeah, it is a bad photo, but it's just it's not metallic. It's just green. That is another coral which is difficult in the coral farm.
Oh, it's offending my eyes. I got to take that off.
It grows all between the zoophragms. So, and every so often I'll pull it all back, but you can't get all of it. As you like tear it like rips off. So that will be my last of my problematic corals.
So the GSP, the proper one that I've got that's actually nice.
Yeah.
I think I got this. I've only had this one a couple of years, so I don't know if I gave you a different one before, but I got this from Reef Keeper Moss End, and it's a beauty. It's an app. But I've had lately. I've been so it's started to spread. It's isolated on an island, but it started to spread off the island, and it keeps trying to take over my Cyphastria rock, which I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
Here it is. That's a better one.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely coral, but I don't like it when it spreads too much. But at the moment, I can't sell anything for my tank because I've got potential. Oh, yeah. It's unlikely that you pass on a disease from that, but I'm not just.
I wasn't willing to take the risk.
No, 100%. So it's just not worth it. Like, and if I did that, sold it to someone and they got a disease, I'd feel horrendous.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not unlikely. Maybe it's highly likely. Anyway, whatever. I can't sell it at the moment. So a couple of weeks ago, I had to peel a bit off and just throw it away. I hate doing that. But sometimes it's like,
don't ever have a coral farm. If you hate doing that, don't have a coral farm.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to being able to pass that on, basically. Yeah. I might give, have you got the nice one?
The nice one? Yeah.
Yeah.
As in, I'll take as much of it you want to get rid of because I sell it all the time.
Happy
but not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. I've got lots that I want to give you, but all right. So your pathetic GSP was also on the list. Your bad GSP.
Yeah.
And now I've got to come up with 5 others. So I don't think this.
So I'm interested in what you come up with.
So GSP was one of them, but the proper GSP, because that GSP that I've got, which is a really nice one, and that's the one you see if you ever see a GSP in a shop. It's nothing special. It's not like an ultra rare one. You go into a local fish shop, ask them to put the blues on. If it glows really brightly, that's the one I've got.
Yeah.
And it's really nice, but bloody hell, it doesn't half grow quick. And the other ones I've had, the other corals I've had that are quickest growing, and I've actually done a couple of videos actually a while ago, like 5-minute videos, I think called like fastest growing corals for an instant tank or something like that. SPS corals, LPS, all that stuff. So you can watch those as well. But the other ones I've got, pulsing xenia. So that can be, pulsing xenia is a funny one because actually it's always recommended as a beginner coral, which I think is fair. But there are times when either for no obvious reason, it will be in low nutrients or high nutrients, whatever, it will just wither and die. And
that's why I didn't add it on my list, because it's like it seems to be like a flip of a coin, whether it's gonna be good or bad.
It'll either wither and won't do anything and it'll die, burn off and just disappear, or it will take over your entire tank. But if you get it singing you're not necessarily doing anything special, but if it does start growing, bloody hell, it grows fast. And so the issue with that, and it's the surrounding of this video. I love it. It's such a nice coral. And that was my colony in my first ever tank. But the problem I had with it, I isolated on an island. I was like, oh, I'm clever. I'm going to isolate it. That doesn't work.
No,
it works for a certain period, and then after 6 months or whatever, when it's completely covered it starts spreading, and it will pop off and find itself in other parts of your tank. Yeah. And also with the green star polyp that I fragged the other day, you just rip it underwater. And it's like it just tears off really easily. It's like a book of stamps. It's like perforated, already perforated. So that's really easy to get rid of. With pulsing xenia, it's so slippy. It's like trying to grab like trying to grab a bar of soap. The only way I could do it before, and it was a long time ago I did this, literally my first tank, was I used to pull the whole rock out, put it on the side somewhere on like a bit of plastic, get a pair of pliers, heavy duty pliers, grab it, twist the pliers so I could wrap it around the xenia, and then pull it off. And even then, half the time it would rip, sometimes it would slip. Most
of the time you didn't have big enough muscles to get it off.
No, exactly. It's so difficult to pull off. So xenia is number 6, and we have a super chat which is from Eduardo, who says, if you have a problem with GSP, introduce bryopsis. No.
Yeah, probably not wise.
That sounds like a bad idea. Number 6 is xenia. What else have I got on my list? Oh yeah, bubble tip anemones. Not technically a coral. Well, it's just not a coral.
Yeah.
But and they're another funny one, because some people will have them for years and they'll grow, but they won't split, and they'll just stay in the same place and they'll be fine. And they're like, "What's the fuss about?" That is not my experience. No. And I'm probably not giving them enough light or too much nutrients, or I'm probably doing something wrong. But man, they split and split and split and split and grow and spread just endlessly in my tank. And actually, I uploaded a video the other day, and these were tiny when I first got them, absolutely tiny. And now they've taken over half the rockwork.
They came from me, didn't they?
2 of them did. One of them didn't. Yeah. But I've removed 3 or 4 and pop them in the post or whatever. And I found one mulched the other day. It had popped off. It split. A baby had popped off, and it got diced up in the power head. Yeah. So they're a nightmare. It's a beautiful creature, and I love it. I'm glad that it's in my tank, but I also hate that it's in my tank, because it's just there's going to come a time when all you can see in my house is bubble tip and everything.
They've escaped from where I grow them as well at the moment. So they are currently roaming around one of the trays of the coral farm. They're not doing too much. They're not doing any damage, really. Not that I've noticed anyway. So at the moment, I'm just leaving them there. But bit by bit, I am selling them to... Did you say you put them in the post?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that because... And the reason I don't want to do it is because to get them off, you have to carefully try and get them off. So I just think... I don't mind doing it when someone's here and they take the risk. You know what I mean?
So totally. I completely agree with you. I've done it twice. Once actually, it didn't arrive. It arrived dead, and that was timing though, because I posted it on. It just popped off. It just happened to pop off, and I was like, "Quick, catch it, sell it." So I went on Ultimate Reef, put it up for cheap, and moved it on, basically 15 quid, including postage, and postage cost me 15 quid. So it was free just to find a home for it. Yeah. And I said, the only catch is it's got to go today. And that was for arrival on a Saturday. It didn't arrive on the Saturday, and it was a bank holiday Monday.
I've had that once before.
Yeah. So actually it was obviously a bad idea. I took a punt, and it didn't pay off. But so the times that the other times I've done it, are when it's popped off and I found it just floating around the tank, which is amazing, or when it's just touching a rock but it hasn't gripped on yet. And it doesn't take long before it grips. You give it 5 minutes, it's stuck on tight. But the other time I've managed to do it, weirdly, a few times in my tank, it's landed on a green star polyp. It's so weird. And because it can't grip onto a green star polyp, it's really easy to remove. All right, so that's number 8, bubble tip anemones. Number 9.
Tropic Thunder.
Well, so the other the zoas we've already covered. So I've got two more actually. So oh no, yeah. So Monties, just
Yeah.
generally Monties. Okay.
Sunset Montepora for me is a really fast grow.
And it's not, that's the thing. Encrusting Monties can be an absolute nightmare. They can completely take over. My what was it? The Forest Fire Monty. Forest Fire? Sunset. No, Sunset. Oh, was that the one you just said? Sorry.
Sunset, was grew crazy.
Beautiful coral.
Yeah.
Beautiful red.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I'm like, when is
orange
this?
And green, red and green.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Coral. Glows brightly when it's healthy. The pipes are really thick and bushy. It looks amazing. Covers the rocks, fantastic. Half of my tank, my 4-foot peninsula tank, was Sunset Monty in the end. It just went everywhere. It was just so much of it. So, I'm bumping all Monties together basically, because encrusting Monties, they all go crazy. Plating Monties, Tropic Thunder, Les shouted that out earlier. Tropic Thunder was the same. Oh my god, I had so much Tropic Thunder in that tank, you wouldn't believe it. And I had an LA Lakers Monty as well, which was purple and yellow. I think it was. It wasn't really purple and yellow, but kind of was. And that thing, it was like the size of a dinner plate when I sold it. I took it into Reef Keeper, my local fish shop.
Yeah.
Like I said, what will you give me? Like, I'm not expecting millions, just take it basically. And they were like, oh my god, what have you bought me? But they grow really fast. And even just Monty Digi grows like crazy as well. So any Monties are really fast. So that's number 8. Number 9.
I thought it was 9, wasn't it? Maybe not.
No, I'll run through them at the end, and we'll see if we've missed any. Number 9 is, so that's really the number 9 on my list. Actually, number 9 on my list, let's do it properly, is what's it called? Bird's Nest. Bird's Nest coral.
Yeah.
So either Seriatopora guttatus, I think it's called, or Seriatopora caliendrum, or the pink bird's nest, Seriatopora hystrix. But any of the bird's nest corals, they grow like crazy. And really, any SPS coral, if you tickle an Acropora in the right spot, it's going to grow fast.
Okay. but there are some people going, I can't even keep a hystrix and don't start with Acropora.
I'm not saying they're easy, but if you get it right, acros will grow like crazy. Some people have tenuis growing out of the water, but in particular, what's it called? Sorry, bird's nest corals, because they're quite forgiving for an SPS. They grow really quick, and they don't grow very thick, do they? And they don't encrust. So like with an acro, it will spend months on end encrusting before it starts shooting up. With a stop saying that. You can guess what's next, can't you? With a bird's nest, it doesn't encrust almost at all. It just shoots up, and I think that's kind of that's how it's got by in the wild, because it just goes everywhere. It doesn't have to encrust, and it doesn't have thick branches, so it doesn't have to, like if you have like a what's it called? What's the thick acros called? Like barley green staghorns. If you have, so you ever seen the thick barley green slimes or any staghorn? They are thick, like an inch thick. They're massive. But you don't get that with bird's nest. Number 10.
Before you say number 10,
yeah,
I wonder, having looked at some of your, well, are these the fastest corals, or are these just corals that we've had trouble with in the past? Because if you did a video on fastest growing corals, things like mushrooms would be in there. Mushroom corals would be in there. So that's not. So before you say your number 10, is it mushrooms? I know it's not mushrooms.
It wasn't, but it is now.
It is now. There you go.
Actually, so mushroom, and this isn't really, like, I've not got my tape measure out and scientifically studied everything for several years to work out what's fastest growing. And there are probably other corals that I've forgotten to mention today. Same for you. But so this isn't necessarily a factual list. Pasillipora is a fast grower. Partly because it drops little babies that then spread as well.
Yeah,
it doesn't just branch out and grow. But mushrooms are a nightmare. Like the little blue, are they Discosoma? What are the little blue ones, the boring ones?
I find Redactus to be the blue ones. I think are the Discosoma, but I find Redactus to be far more fast growing.
Okay.
like
I so
like
I,
those furry green mushrooms. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking we are so far removed from the beginnings
yeah,
of this
yeah.
hobby now that we've forgotten one of the most basic corals that grows really quickly.
Well, so mushrooms I had in my first tank.
Yeah,
I had all the classic beginner corals in my first tank: xenia, mushrooms, green star polyps, Kenya tree. Kenya tree grows fast. Toadstools grow really fast as well, and they like physically big. They're
yeah,
really thick stumps, really big, like dinner plate size heads. I don't know what you call it. So there are others that grow quicker, but mushrooms. They were a pain in the ass because not only did they spread quite a lot, but they're quite stingy. So they if they touch anything else, they tend to kind of wipe it out.
yeah.
But I mean, this was 10 years ago for me now. But
Yeah, you can't have different types of mushrooms together either. That's something that I look back at the very beginning, my very first tank, and there's a picture of it somewhere, and I've got all these mushrooms all together, and then you can look at it 6 months later, and it's just one type of mushroom left, and it's because I had all these discosomas, and then the furry green redactors, and then the furry green one took over everything because they kill everything else.
Hmm.
So someone said how fast do bounce mushrooms grow? They actually grow pretty quick. They're
Okay.
just the same as any mushroom.
Aqua Splendor is in the house. Hello, I've forgotten your name. Oh God, what's his name? French
Oh,
guy.
this is embarrassing
Canadian.
for you.
Oh my God,
Why would
Nicola.
you? Why would you even say? Or did you get it?
Nicola. Yeah, Nicola. He says about Pocky. No, they don't grow fast at all. It's a myth. It depends on the species. I don't agree it's a myth, but
Yeah.
it does depend on. So, like some acros will grow super fast, other acros will go super slow. Some mushrooms will go slow. So, but generally, like a bog standard rainbow Pocky, you will see plenty of people with them growing like crazy, taking over, and because they drop little sproglets off. Yeah, I'm sure there are some that grow slowly. Yeah, but yeah, so you find that bounce mushrooms grow quite quick, as you were saying.
Yeah. Once you remember I fragged them, so how quick can they grow as I keep cutting them in half? But they heal quickly and they do grow relatively fast. But as I said, they're just a redactors mushroom.
Yeah.
So
okay. Anything else on your list before we move on to the news?
Nope. I feel like I did very well considering I didn't have all 10. I supplied 6. So
right. Well, let's do the news then. $132.22 news.
When you said let's do the news, I could just hear the disappointment in your voice that I let you down.
You had homework to do, Ryan, and you didn't do it. Oh, actually, no. But we've got. Hang on.
Back in school.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've got to undo the news. You're dancing to it. I caught you because we missed the Prestige Reef Fish of the Week and Coral of the Week.
Oh yeah. Well, technically, the fish of the week I picked was a golden angel.
Which is that one.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I wonder why you had that screen up earlier. This is the fish I got. Recently I spoke about earlier. Yes, so that is
tiny little secretive things.
They are very, very secretive. I love secretive fish. That's what I've realized. If I can get a fish that I never see, that's a weird one.
I know it's got a little white tail. Yeah, quality marine.
They tank breed these now as well.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can get tank bred ones.
Interesting.
Maybe if I'd got one of those, it would be eating.
They're a funny color, aren't they? I mean, like in a good way. You don't see fish that color very often.
No, I don't know any other fish that's that color. They're like bronze. I know they're called gold names, but they're more like bronze
is better.
Gold.
Yeah. Very cool.
As I said, I've had one before, and it was one of my favorite fish.
I wanted one, but I didn't buy it because I was worried about it pecking at corals.
So I had one previously, and it didn't eat corals until the other angels started eating corals. So it was fine, but that's why I'm willing to try it again.
And what was the Prestige Reef Coral of the Week?
Oh, just pick any of the other 10 that you've made me pick.
Well, let's run. So just going to quickly run through that. The top 10 list then was Mr. Freeze Leptoceris, Pink Star Polyps, which was a Gorgonian of some kind.
Yeah.
Tutti Frutti Zoas, Jose Casa Stylociniella, Green Star Polyp, Pulsing Xenia, Bubble Tip Anemones, Montes of any digis, branching, encrusting, you name it, plating, whatever, Bird's Nest, and mushrooms. And that's not a definitive list. You could speak to other people and they'll give you 10 different corals, but they are fast growing corals. I'm comfortable with that. News. $134.55.
I was like, keep my head very still this time so he doesn't see me dancing.
I do it every time. I love it. Right. So Gary McConnell says, news, the WD-40 is retired new chair. News, the WD-40 is retired new chair. Yes, that is news, technically, but we've done that already. News, right. Reasonable amount of news today. Firstly, sad news. No more. You don't watch anything on YouTube, so.
Great.
But Keith Berkelham and Reef Bum, an institution on YouTube in reefing, does Rapping with Reef Bum, a weekly live stream where he interviews guests basically, and he gets really interesting guests on. He had Dong Zhu. Have you ever seen Dong Zhu on before? You had him on last week. No,
I might recognize him more. I don't recognize the name. Does he breed fish?
No, he's a scientist, an actual scientist in his day job. He's probably my favorite person in reefing. He's so nice and so friendly and just energetic. He's brilliant, and he's apart from you,
probably
obviously.
Your favorite person in reefing. Thank you very much.
Probably my second favorite person in reefing. He's absolutely brilliant, and he's super knowledgeable. He's got a load of science knowledge, but he's got practical knowledge as well because he's deep into the hobby. He was on last week, but Keith has a weekly live stream where he does guests all the time, but he's not going to be doing it anymore. He's said that his last one is going to be this Tuesday, I think. I've got 3rd of December. Sorry, actually. So it's not this Tuesday. Anyway, it's soon. He's going to be his last one with Chris Meckley, who's always a good guest as well.
Yeah. Did he say why?
It was just like he's done it for 4.5 years.
That you saying that even hurt me.
No, yeah. So I think I don't know if he's just like he wants the time back in his life. He's tired of it. I don't know, but it's 4.5 years of that is a lot, isn't it? To be fair,
yeah.
And actually, so he has guests scheduled weeks in advance, and so that actually must take quite a lot of work to do that because you must have people pulling out and changing time. It's easy for us because we just turn up and it's just you and me. But if you have to
sometimes I don't even do the homework.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to organise guests every week, it must be hard work. So, but yeah, so no more Rapping with Reef Bum, which is a real shame. But he's got a big old library of live streams that I've no doubt you'll catch up on.
Definitely.
I
know who Reef Bum is, and I have seen quite a few of his videos. Yeah. I'm not like an avid watcher of any videos, but it's interesting. There are a few live streams which are just stopping.
Yeah. It's hard work.
It slowly sucks the life out of you. Basically.
It does. So this is episode 69 of the Prestige Reef Dork show. So we've been doing it for about 2 years now. Yeah. And I have thought, maybe we'll get to the point when we're like, no, sod it. But I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it, but the great thing for us is that this is relatively low effort. We don't have to book in new guests. We don't have to do that sort of stuff. We don't have hours of preparation or that sort of stuff. We just it's not a massive burden on me, on us.
I don't know. This week I had to think of 5 corals.
For God's sake.
You know what's interesting? I keep meaning to say this to you, but I always forget, and it's sort of come up then. I actually sometimes prefer the live streams we do when I don't get to talk to you before. You know how sometimes they're like either you're busy or I'm busy, and then normally we have a half an hour chat before. Whereas the ones where it's like 5 minutes before, those are the ones where I'm giving it to you, like I'm giving you like the information in real time. Yeah. So rather than because obviously today before the live stream, I'm like, Alex, this is the update on the angelfish. This is what's happened with my week and everything, and then I have to repeat it again for the show. And I almost wonder if we should have it where we go. We can still like have a chat half an hour before, but we're not allowed to talk about what we're going to talk about on the show.
I'm up for that.
Because then I think those ones I find those a lot more like you get like an initial response.
Okay,
Let's just try it. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. But no, I still really enjoy doing this. But if I'd been doing it for 4.5 years and arranging guests and all that sort of stuff, because it must be like trying to herd cats sometimes. Even not because people let you down on that, but because people have busy lives and I'm sure he gets people moving around. I've never heard him complain about it, but it must be difficult with guests.
Yeah, whereas we don't have busy lives.
No, so yeah, but so I'm pleased for him in a way because he's getting time back in his life. But it was sad, and he's had some brilliant guests on. The world's largest coral, which is appropriate for this particular live stream, Ryan.
Yeah, true.
The largest coral was discovered this week. This is on BBC News, Ryan. Our hobby, kind of, not really. Made BBC News. So this is what was it? It did say at the bottom.
It's a pavona, isn't it? It's like a brown pavona.
Yeah, Pavona clavus. So it doesn't look like a pavona to me, but it's not the type we ever see. But so the world's largest coral has been discovered. They didn't even know it was there. Southwest Pacific Ocean, and it was 34 meters wide, 32 meters long, and 5.5 meters high. And they went down and measured it with a tape measure. It's enormous. And there are a couple. I'm sure there's more than this. But it's a species called Pavona clavus, and it provides a home to shrimp, crabs, fish, and other marine creatures. I bet in a coral that big that it's home to all sorts of stuff, like millions of critters. I bet. But that thing is enormous.
It's so boring. It's like,
well, you wouldn't want it in a tank, but you know,
it's I can't see people going to collect that anytime soon for the hobby.
No, so it's not really the hobby, is it? But it's just cool, really, really cool that it's that massive. And I bet actually this is the biggest ever recorded. So it's being called the biggest coral in the world, but there'll be bigger corals out there that we haven't discovered. And because corals, in theory, if you had a tropic thunder Monty in a big enough tank and a long enough time, it would grow to that size.
But would it?
Yeah,
I'm sure Jamie Craig said that corals have like a maximum. Like, I don't want to repeat what he says because I have no idea what I'm talking about compared to him. But they definitely have a lifespan, and there are some corals which grow fast and then die young. I saw it in something he did recently. But so I've always thought that if you let Montipora grow, will it grow to the size of like 50 football fields? But I don't know if it works like that. I genuinely don't know.
I suppose that it would outgrow your tank, and that's all that really matters for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you gave it a swimming pool full of salt water, and you'd need a lot of heating, but who knows?
No, a swimming pool it probably would do. But what I'm saying is, would it get as big as that one? Because otherwise, what's the second largest coral?
Yeah.
So there has to be a second largest coral out there somewhere. Is it also that species?
Yeah. Who knows? But okay, so the world's largest coral, that made proper actual news, worldwide news. This is a weird story. This was on this is Coral magazine in America, and the story is that there were 300 captive bred yellow tangs being released into the wild, which on the face of it is like, that's a good news story because we're reintroduced, or we aren't. This was, I think it was the Oceanic Institute of the Hawaii Pacific University released. This says over 300 aquaculture tangs into the wild. And I've talked to people before. I can't remember if it was Brian or someone. We talked to people before about reintroducing fish and corals into the wild, and it's very complicated, particularly with fish because of disease and all that sort of stuff. And so I was slightly surprised they did that, but I'm sure they had good systems in place to prevent that. But the first thing I thought was, and there's actually they've got a video on this that I can play you. Here we go. So there's a bucket going in. That, if I'm a fish looking for a meal, that looks pretty tasty to me. So I would imagine they are going to get eaten within about 3 seconds flat. And I wonder I don't even know if they'll have survival instincts. Probably they will, to be fair. But that was weird to me. It's a good thing, I think, in theory, because you're putting yellow tangs back into the hobby. But I'm sure the numbers of yellow tangs is vast in Hawaii.
It is.
Like, I've seen.
What it is, I think, is like a publicity thing more than anything.
Yeah.
Do to those 300 fish, are they going to make a difference? I don't think so.
Not at all. Because I'm sure when you could take Hawaiian fish for the retail, for the marine trade, I can't remember what the numbers were, but I'm sure it was like 300,000 a year were coming out or something, and that wasn't touching the sides.
Yeah,
so putting 300 in, it's like, okay, you've made a video, you've made the news, but the reefing.
Yeah, I'm not. I think they came as part of some sort of. I did read it, but it was a week ago, I think, so I can't actually remember what it was. But there was some sort of reef repopulation thing that they were doing for a hotel or something, and it came from that. I think.
Yeah, they were doing. It was with Georgia Aquarium, and they'd given a load to other public aquariums as well, and this was a surplus. And they were like, well, let's put them back. I found that weird. Maybe I was going to say sell them, but maybe you can't sell them. But
the other thing, like,
I think
the tank bred fish have got way, way better now, especially with yellow tanks. But the first yellow tanks were not great.
White tanks, yeah.
They were a bit ropey. The first ones. Yeah. So are you actually putting in a less healthy fish back into the ocean?
Yeah, maybe.
So,
but yeah, I mean, it was cool.
It looks good.
It looks good. There you go. Good PR.
No, I might be wrong. I might get in trouble for saying this. But it's I don't think it's going to make a difference. But it is a good publicity thing.
There you go. Damned with faint praise. And the one thing you love more than anything, Ryan,
new brown goby.
A new brown goby. This is.
It actually is. I didn't know that was what you were going to say.
It is Bathygobius miro. It's a sponge-dwelling goby from Indonesia. I actually think he's quite cool. You pulled a face then, Ryan. He's
all right.
He's 36 millimeters long, and they live in this sponge called Zestospongia tetsudinaria.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it's a little commensal relationship. Yeah, they're just over an inch and a half. I actually think he's quite cool. You're never going to see it in the aquarium trade, in the hobby, I would guess, especially if it lives in a sponge. Although I suppose that wouldn't stop people pulling it out. But I think he's actually quite cool. I think he's got a bit of character, bit of a face for radio. No offense, but
it's because he looks like he's got cross-eyed. That's why he looks like
maybe it does a bit. But yeah, he looks a bit different, and it's not a yellow tang, but I think he's actually quite cool. But there you go. So,
can we have a poll on that?
No.
Because you're like, I might lose this poll.
I've finished losing polls.
I only request the poll when you know that I genuinely believe I can win it.
Yeah. And what else was there? So the last thing was let me get this up. De Jong has aquacultured, or has got hold of some aquacultured bandit angels.
That was the exciting news.
Yeah.
Someone sent me this, and I was like,
these are in Holland.
I want one. But again, they'll be like a lot of money probably.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, basically. Well, I have to ask. Let's put it that way.
Indeed.
If someone said to me, "Is there one more angelfish that I want?" It would be that. That's the last one. There are some other expensive ones, but that's the one I've always wanted.
The article says it's not clear if they were bred, but that Reef Builder speculates that they were bought, they bred somewhere else and brought in. Yeah. So I don't necessarily think it was De Jong who bred them, but I don't actually know. It's not clear. But they are really cool. There was Ultramarine magazine, which is the magazine I have stacks of behind me over my shoulder. And over time, that's going to get bigger and bigger, that stack. I started reading that when I first got into the hobby properly, a couple of years in. And there was, I can't remember what tank it was, but they did an issue on this guy's tank. He had an amazing tank. And he had a bandit angel in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. And then I saw one at Reef Keeper Windsor. That's how long ago it was, which doesn't exist. It's now Reef Keeper Moss End. And they're cool. And I think he was 1,200 quid then, which at the time, that was mind-blowing money. But now that's cheap.
Now we're like, where do we sign up?
Yeah, you got any more, mate?
There's very few fish that I've never seen in real life, like that are commonly available in the hobby, or like well-known fish. I don't think I've ever seen one of those in person.
Really?
No, I don't think I've seen some like weird things that I've never seen one of those. I've never seen a peppermint angel either.
No.
I'm trying to think what was the there was one other.
Would you like proof that I have seen one in the flesh?
Yeah.
I got a video of it. £2,200 it
I
was.
think he said 1,200. All of a sudden, it's doubled.
I did, yeah. I forgot. I haven't watched this clip for ages, but yeah, this was in Reefkeeper Windsor. So
Why
cool.
do we like that fish? It's not colourful. So, like, what is it about it?
For a start, it's bright white. That's a terrible video because it was taken on my phone, I suspect,
blue,
before I had a decent camera. So it just looks blue, but it's bright white, and you don't get many white fish, do you? But it's got the band across, so it's got a band which looks cool. It's a different pattern, and across its eyes makes it look like it's up to no good, like a scarlet hawkfish.
Do we like it because it's rare? That's why.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That's probably part of it, but I liked that. But I liked it enough to take a video of it 7-8 years ago. When I wasn't really into that sort of thing, to be honest. I think maybe that's part of it, but that is a legitimately cool fish.
Yeah,
and I think most people, if you had that in your tank, I think, and you showed people around, you had guests around or whatever who weren't fish people, I think they'd be like, "Oh, that's a cool fish."
Yeah, but I think any large angelfish has that impact.
Maybe,
except maybe like a French angel, because French angels are ugly.
But they'd also be like, "Oh wow, that pulsing xenia is so awesome!"
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
Like, no, look at my tenuis.
There's something about angelfish. They just have. I was looking at the king eye today. So some fish people want because they are expensive. And a gem tang is one of those fish. And once you've had a gem tang, you go, it's basically the same as every other. Would you agree with this?
I liked the gem tang. You said that a few times before. I liked it.
Did you feel like, wow, this is the most amazing?
It wasn't worth the money. It's not worth. It's one of my favorite. I think it's up there with a purple tang for me in terms of my favorite tangs to look at. Yeah. Maybe a yellow tang, to be fair. And it's not. I really like it, but it's not worth 600 quid or whatever. Why are you chucking?
Oh, because Steve says we both like swallowtail angelfish. Say no more. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. I'm not sure if I'm saying bad taste or good taste.
I think I said
but that actually was why I was having this conversation with someone. Like, those angelfish are special to us, but there are lots of other nicer angelfish. Or there's also a lot of nicer fish. So, but when it comes to angels, I've realized I don't feel, when I had the the gem tang, I was like, it's nice, but you get used to it. The king eye, I've never gotten used to. And I don't look at it and go, wow, that's an expensive fish. I look at it and go, wow, that fish is like got great personality. It interacts with you, and it's hungry, so it comes and like it knows you're there. Whereas the yellow tang is like just stick of shit.
I don't need you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I really like my 2-barred rabbitfish. That's
Yeah.
He's a particularly cool fish, and the scarlet hawkfish, which I think you and I talk about every week now.
That is again. Cool. I'm going for fish that have personality now. Definitely.
Do you know what I saw in Reefkeeper? I was in Reefkeeper this end, as I always am, and they had a what was it? It was a blenny. Was it a Great Barrier Reef blenny? I can't remember what it was. It was a small blenny that they'd accidentally put in their coral tray, and they can't catch him now. But he's so cool, just like going in and out of the coral, like the egg crate and all that sort of stuff.
I was googling to see what it was, but I couldn't. It didn't come up.
Was it a Great Barrier Reef blenny? Oh no, what's it called? Oh, hang on a second. There's a 2-lined blenny. I can't remember what the common name is now, but they're just so cool blennies. I really want one again, and I don't know if I'm going to get a starry blenny again this time. I've just realised as well. When we did the what's it called, the news that was about the world's biggest coral, I was gonna say the world's biggest coral has been discovered. It's 33 meters long and it's in Polo Reef's tank, and I forgot to do the joke. Would you have laughed if I'd said?
Don't worry, that was a terrible joke. So
fine, good. Tail spot blenny, tail spot blenny. That's what it was. This guy. Look at his little face.
Yeah, that looks like that does look. There's also one that looks like he's wearing like a little pinstripe suit.
Okay.
So blennies, they're not always the most colourful fish. In fact, most blennies actually aren't colourful.
No.
Because if you think about algae blennies and even the fly mode blenny I've got is not particularly colourful, but they do have great personalities.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just desperate for another. What's the little Pictus blenny? They're cool. They're tiny.
East Coast Reef wants a war.
Right, get out. I'm not a
No.
big fan of my flame hawkfish. Right, that's it. No, you're not allowed him.
Also, he's even got a flame hawkfish and he still doesn't like it.
Why not? Do you
hopefully
just not like the look of it or its personality? What don't you like about it? Just out of curiosity. I think they're cool.
I think they're great.
Audio Maniac Man Mix, sorry, he says, yesterday I got a gem tang which was in the shop for like 4 months. I got it for $300 US. Do you like it? Do you think it's amazing? You probably do because it's early days.
Gem tangs originally were 1,200 or even 1,500 was the most expensive I ever saw.
Crazy, yeah. They're definitely not worth that kind of money. But anyway, I believe, that's everything on the news, which means we can close it off. There's a little screen at the bottom that I can see. I can see you, and I was looking to see if you were dancing again.
Did I dance? I think I just did this very briefly.
Winds me up sitting on my coral. I love that. I love that about him. Genuine question: why gem tang's so expensive? Ryan, you know that.
Oh, don't ask me. I'll get it wrong again. They originally were found somewhere. Do you know where they were found?
They were found somewhere. It's not off the coast of Africa.
There were very few of them that were found off an island, which I've forgotten what island it was, but it wasn't off the coast of Africa. And then they found more of them, and they're difficult to get back up. There are genuine reasons. It's not there were genuine reasons that they were more expensive. But remember, if people were paying £1,500 for a fish, even if they're easier to get, the price has come down. But it's like if people are paying that for a fish, why would you sell it cheaper?
I think I paid $5.50 for mine about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
which is, and they did come down to about, I saw them in some places for £300.
There was someone imported one box of them, maybe a few boxes, and sort of sold loads of them quite cheap, I think. But they've gone back up. That was like a one-time thing, and they've gone back up again.
Right,
I think.
Okay, yeah, $325 US for Reef Dork. Which sounds like kind of roughly what they are, but they're quite a lot in the UK. Yikes! Mine was $700.
My first one was $900.
Yeah, I remember. You got it for free though, didn't you?
I didn't get it for free.
Swapped a load of corals for it.
Something like that. Yeah, I can't.
The thumbnail of your video said you got it for free.
Yeah, true. And technically that's true. Yeah.
But I think you sold a load of corals and then bought it.
Yeah, basically I'd sold a load of corals and then it just so happened they came to the exact price of the gem tag.
Anyway, 600 in my FS, says Steve Webb. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Blue spot jawfish, by the way. Awesome fish.
Yeah.
Terrible idea to keep because they like cool water. I think they're found in 18 degrees in Mexico. Is that no facts here, but 18 degrees C. It's proper. It's not like.
Don't you worry.
Ryan's onto it.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But no, they do need cool water though, and they've got a terrible survival rate. The yellow-headed jawfish has got a better survival rate, but they're a bit more boring. The blue spot jawfish is a stunning.
I think all jawfish have good personality, but you have to be willing to tolerate the mess they make of your tank.
Mine's set up in the far corner of the tank where I had to crane my neck to see it when I was looking top down. The most inaccessible point in my tank was where he set up. I was like, cheers, mate. Can't you come around the front?
Yeah.
Bastard. Mauritius, says Surfzone. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought it was Mauritius, but I just
didn't want to commit to it.
I've been burnt before.
Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching as always. Thanks for joining. And we will be back next week when Ryan will have done some more homework.
See you later. Bye.